Hello there, welcome into the latest edition of the SAU Football Coaches Show. I'm Daniel Gallegos, joined alongside Head Football Coach Bill Keopple. And Coach, we're here at the back end of the season, 2 games left on the regular season schedule. Last weekend you go to southeastern Oklahoma, the final of your scheduled road trips this regular season, so the last 2 games are going to be at home, a place where just since you've been here, you've been able to find a great amount of success, 18-11 in your time here, but even more success since 2012, going 13-3 at home. So obviously a welcome sight to be back at home. It's been right around a month since we've been at home. A technical home game against Ouachita was played at El Dorado, so more or less felt like a road game, and then back-to-back games on the road. Those 2 games on the road were losses, including southeastern Oklahoma. Touch a little bit on southeastern Oklahoma, a little bit, the latest action last week. Tough going offensively, particularly on the ground. They seem to as much as you want to. They seem to apply quite a bit of pressure on Renner, coming up with a handful of sacks, but he was still able to go out there and throw the ball and pick them up in chunks, throwing for over 300 yards again.
Hard to put a finger on that game. I mean, it really was. I mean, obviously, we didn't bring enough energy to the contest. People can say, well, hangover from the week before. Yeah, it was hard to swallow. Hard to pick yourself up off the mat, because that was a knockout blow at the buzzer. Really tough to put a finger on it. You try to evaluate and look around and try to make some sense out of it. And you really can to a certain degree if you look at our league. I mean, this year, outside of Henderson, you look at Arkansas Tech, 2 losses on the road. You look at East Central, 2 losses on the road. They got 2 more road games to play. And you look at the rest of the teams that are bunched there in that 6-4 category with Harding and Ouachita and that group of teams, and everybody's got 3 losses on the road, us included. And even Southeastern is into that category. For whatever reason, road trips in this league have been tough to get wins, and it's hard to put a finger on. I mean, obviously last week was a little bit different scenario for us. They were a team, and you try to tell your team and talk to them about they were a 3-5 team going into the game. The year before they were in the bowl game over in Texarkana. Had high aspirations of the season, and it wasn't going their way, and a little bit of the fact that their backs to the wall. I mean, and their backs to the wall, and you're coming to our place, and we need a win. We need to win bad, and they were ready to play, to give them credit, and we weren't. And for whatever reason, how you don't get ready to play each week in college football is always a mystery to me. And you can see it all over the college landscape, week in and week out, with teams that go in for whatever reason they're not ready to play. And it happened to us a little bit last week, and they got after us. We had a hard time protecting the quarterback, and from the opening kickoff, they kicked an onside kick, which is really rolling the dice for a team. A little bit of a sign of being desperate to a certain degree to try to make something happen, and they did. Wasn't a great kick. Wasn't anything that we weren't in position to get. The ball went right to us, and we didn't get it. And from that point on, it was a battle for us. We still had opportunities as the game went on. We're down there, have a chance to score right before the half, and run a play we've run a ton of times and score touchdowns on, and it's there. And for whatever reason, we don't go to where it's been all year long, and we throw an interception in the end zone. So again, hard to put a finger on it. Very disappointing, but you got to gather yourself and get yourself back up. We're in position right now with 2 wins going in. The last 2 games. If we can win these last 2 games, you've had a 7-4 year, and you put yourself into a position. There is a mathematical possibility of us putting ourselves in a position for a bowl bid still. So a lot to play for.
Yeah, spinning that forward to this upcoming week again, back at home after 3 weeks more or less on the road. Got East Central coming in. They're a tough team. They knocked off Henderson early on in the season at Henderson. They're a team year in and year out in the GAC. They're always kind of like the wild card team. They seem like they can go out and they can beat almost anybody. But then there's a couple games where they don't maybe necessarily play up to what you would expect them to play. And looking just at the numbers, it's almost, with East Central, particularly if you look on offense, it's almost like you're looking at each other in the mirror. Right. In terms of the numbers, what they like to do in the passing game and things like that. They've got a quarterback who's right up there with Barrett Renner. Those 2 are pretty much interchangeable as far as where they stand in the conference and some statistics. So knowing that their tendencies are very similar to what you guys try to do on offense, are there any advantages to that, trying to scheme against them defensively?
Well, the one thing defensively for us, looking at them going forward, they got a quarterback. He can throw the football. He's got a big arm, but he's not a runner. That's positive for us. They're a very more traditional type offensive football team with not a lot of smoke and mirrors in it, and that's good for us going forward from a defensive side. You start comparing what East Central's done, what we've done. East Central beat Henderson and Tech, two teams we lost to in this league. And what's so funny about those games, if you'd call it funny, I mean, the Henderson game, they're in Arkadelphia. Henderson's inside the 10-yard line at the end of the game, and the quarterback goes back to pass just like against us. Instead of him running for a touchdown like he did against us, against them, he slips and falls, and they win the game. Arkansas Tech, again, a team down there, all they need is a field goal. That sounds familiar. All they need is a field goal. And the quarterback scrambles it around, and under pressure, he just kind of underworms one to a receiver going across the middle and gets it picked off. And that's the ball game. That's how they lost 2 games. And then we flip it to us and Henderson. We're there. And us and Tech, I mean, maybe our Tech game wasn't as close as that, but it was still a very close football game for a long time. I mean, they lost to 2 teams that we beat. They lost to Southwest. They lost to Ouachita. We beat those 2 teams, but again, very close game. So, as I said before, our league, I mean, there's not a lot of difference. It's all comes down to attitude. It comes down to effort on that day and execution on that day, and that's what it's going to come down to this Saturday against East Central, I'm sure.
We appreciate it very much for your time again. That's head football coach Bill Keopple. He and his Mule Riders back at home this weekend, taking on East Central. Kickoff scheduled for 2:00 p.m. Again, mule gating obviously will be before that, right around 12 o'clock. So be sure to come out and enjoy some mule gating before the game. And be sure to check MuleRiderAthletics.com for all your pre and post game coverage. Coach, appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thank you, Daniel.